top is the souk in Fez. I actually found the thing. I was once lost in that. So you get lost in the souk, you are really lost. I mean, there's talk about mazes of twisted passages all alike. And I was wandering around, really kind of getting a little anxious because it was getting dark. And so I was in the street of the butchers or someone was sort of smell of all this offal and walked into a tiny little square, and there was Michael Douglas in this fabulous suit with two other guys in fabulous suits from Hollywood. He said, "You know how to get out of this place?" I said, "Oh, yeah, we'll take you out." They walked out. So, they were making a move. But I was thinking about that because in a certain sense, it represents a certain kind of online experience. You know how to get somewhere, and then all of a sudden there's Michael Douglas or somebody who's going to help you out of the suit. There was and continues to be a lot of people who describe the internet as a public space, a public sphere, who saw this as a reincarnation of that 18th century public sphere that we were talking about, Lovies, many weeks ago. Following a remark of Marshall McLuhan made many decades before the internet became a big deal, of the image of the global village. Hugh Hewitt, one blogger, and you can pick out 100 quotes that made the same point. The power of elites to determine what is news via a tightly controlled dissemination system has been shattered. The ability and authority to distribute text are naturally democratized. The news isn't coming to us from a narrow channel anymore. We're all producing our opinion. Opinion grows from the bottom up. This is Karen Cross's notion. This is a popular notion. And in fact, if you look for, do a search on internet as a public sphere, you come up with, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of hits. One of the most dramatic affirmations of this idea of the internet appeared in March 2003 as preparations were well underway. I think we hadn't actually invaded Iraq at that point, but it was just, it was in the air. Everybody was talking about it and so on. And there was a very intense reaction, counter-reaction, both among the anti-war left in America and numerous foreign cities. That was when there were demonstrations in, probably 11, 9 years ago. I don't think you were all that attentive to it, but demonstrations in numerous cities, hundreds of thousands of people in London. A novel by Ian McEwan, about a day of demonstrations. I can't remember. A recent novel by Ian McEwan about that demonstration in 2002. James F. Moore, from the Berkman Center at Harvard, which is concerned with the technology and social impact, writes a posting, I think, on the Berkman site that's very widely disseminated in the way these things can be, saying that the internet has become the second superpower. All these demonstrations represent the effects of a network of communication, which he describes as follows. The internet and other interactive media continue to penetrate more and more deeply all world society. The collective power of texting, blogging, instant messaging, and email across millions of actors cannot be overestimated. Like a mind constituted of millions of internet network neurons, the social movement is capable of astonishingly rapid and sometimes subtle community consciousness and action. The emergent democracy of the second superpower is alive with touching and being touched by each other as the community works to create wisdom and take action. That somehow we're all connected and we're going to talk to each other, and out of that neuronal buzz is going to emerge an articulate position on the issues of the day that will make this distributed collectivity the equivalent, or at least the effective counter, to the other superpower of the United States, or general to the constituted pre-digital authorities and powers of the world. A powerful argument. One that picks up an earlier declaration, manifesto by John Perry Barlow. Barlow, an interesting character, is the least you could say about him, who's he was a rancher from Wyoming or something like that, was a Grateful Dead lyricist, and was involved in forming the Electronic Frontier Contest, which I mentioned earlier. I'm sorry? He did work for Dick Cheney, yeah. He's a Republican county chairman in Wyoming. And he published, I don't know, was this originally posted on the web, was it in Wired, or whatever, a declaration of the independence of cyberspace. Governments of the industrial world, he says, you weary giants of flesh and steel. I come from cyberspace, the new home of mine, lots of this Germanic capitalization. On behalf of the future, I ask all you of the past to leave us alone. You have no sovereignty where we gather. I declare the global social space we are building to be naturally independent of the tyrannies you seek to impose on us, and so on. A style that suggests too much time reading Robert Heinlein. But a particularly perhaps caricatured view of an attitude that Moore was also articulating, that somehow out of this will come a new public sphere that will be independent of the traditional political institutions, parties, and governments and structures, and able to organize internationally and cross national boundaries. And I can't remember who was asked about world peace. I think she's not here, but this is where the world peace part comes in. We're going to achieve world peace. So there's a general idea here about the internet as a political venue. It's a place in which political discussion and discourse and activity takes place. What does it do? What are the positive things? The positive are, look, the internet broadens access to information. As Hewitt says, we're not going to have these few little gatekeepers telling us what we need to know and what we don't need to know. We'll go out there and find out for ourselves what the truth is about Iraq or fracking or East Timor, other places where nobody's covering the story, or the Southern Sudan. It broadens the opportunity to speak. Someone said in the 1950s there are 10,000 people living in Greenwich Village with a great letter to the editor in them. But multiply that by a factor of a couple of thousand, and everybody can post something to the internet, which is at least in principle accessible to hundreds of millions of other people. It increases the number of information sources, bypassing the gatekeepers of official census, so you don't just get your information from one source, but lots of sources out there. You can get information about a wide range of topics. Even the New York Times, a paper of record, doesn't include stories about 3/4 of the things that are important things that are happening in the world, particularly in foreign countries and so on. Recall that I mentioned that we were talking about the press, that posting on the wall of a newspaper in the 19th century. One Englishman is a story, 10 Frenchmen is a story, 100 Germans is a story, nothing ever happens in Chile, right? Well, now we can find out what's happening in Chile. And you can check information on the internet. You don't have to believe what you see on the New York Times site or the Washington Post or Fox News, because you can go somewhere else and find out if it's true or not. On the other hand, people have also pointed out that the internet restricts the exchange of information and opinion to a more closed, like-minded group. We'll talk about that in a moment, the silo effect. The fact is, if I pick up, for instance, the New York Times and I fold it appropriately and I come to the end, the op-ed page, here's David Brooks, a conservative, or nominally conservative, and here's Paul Krugman, a liberal. Right in my eyes, just going to maybe jump across the page and read the other one. On the internet, I can just set up my link so that I only have to hear the conservatives or the liberals, and I don't have to hear the other points of view. It exposes people to more information that's misleading, inaccurate, extreme, inflammatory, etc. Oh boy, does it ever. A friend of mine teaches English at the City University of New York, asked me if of a certain generation, of an earlier generation than mine and pre-internet, said, well, do you know anything about rumors on the internet? And I sent her a reference to an article. Why? She said, well, some student of mine was writing something about how George Soros, the financier, had been a Nazi collaborator, and there was a story going around because when he was an adolescent in Hungary, he was Jewish, and in order not to be sent to the camps, he worked for the Nazis collecting the clothes of the fascists collecting the clothes of people who had been sent. He was a 12-year-old, 14-year-old Jewish kid in Hungary. And he had written it. She said, where did you hear this? He said, oh, I saw it on the internet. So, well, there's lots of stuff like that out there. We have time. We're probably not today, but if I have a little time beginning next time, I'll talk about some of that. It eliminates the guidance that traditional media provided. Now, we talked a bit about objectivity, and objectivity may be a problematic or a controversial notion. Nonetheless, if I read a story in the Times, they're going to make at least an effort, even if I'm to give me both sides, to quote somebody on the other side of the story if it's in that range and so on. Where the internet, you don't get that guidance that you need to believe. You get crazy stuff. Another story up here. Just a colleague of mine at Xerox PARC moved to Europe, was working at the University of Stuttgart, had a lot of colleagues who thought 9/11 was a put-up job, and that Bush and Cheney had set it up, and had all these stories about why the jets weren't alerted in the stand-downs, and so the way conspiracy theorists did had mastered all the details of the story. And Henry didn't really know what was going on, but he felt he had to learn about it and look it up on the internet. That's all he found. He put in those terms, and all he found was conspiracy sites. And then he put in all those terms: stand-down jets, Bush and Cheney, and so on, and reputation, and he came up with more sites. It widens the division between the informed and ill-informed sectors of the public. The informed sector of the public has always had the traditional media and known how to use them, the New York Times or PBS or journals and so on and so forth. The ill-informed sector of the public, at least we're getting their news from Brian Williams. Right now they're getting their news from God knows who. So that's been wide. Well, there has been research done on this, on the polarization and siloing is the term of political discourse. And there's a lot of evidence to the effect that online discourse does facilitate the siloing effect. The siloing effect is when basically we're all in the same silo, exchanging opinions with other like-minded people on the basis of information that's only that we have decided is the valuable information, and with no contact to other points of view. Now, it has independent roots. This polarization of opinion and attitude, and the movement toward the extremes on both sides, is favored by a lot of things that have nothing to do with the internet. One is that in modern life, elective associations are privileged more than accidental affiliations. What does that mean? Well, your occupation, for example, is an elective affiliation, and your American Legion or Kiwanis Club is more of a located in your town is going to be more of an accidental, not accidental affiliation, but one where you're going to meet more people with different views. In fact, the geographical segregation of America by ideology is very, very marked. If you look at the number of people living in landslide counties, a landslide county is a county that went 60% for one of the other presidential candidates. That is saying which attitudes are very much skewed in one way or the other. I live in San Francisco. Is that ever a landslide? The Republicans fight to come in second in my district. If you look at the number of Americans who lived in those counties, it was about a quarter of Americans in 1976. Now it's almost a half. And that means that most people live in places where, many more people live in places where their neighbors have the same views. If you live in Berkeley, you got a pretty good idea of what your neighbor thinks about some political issue. And the same if you live in, I don't know, Alamo. I don't know if there's any place up here that's quite left. Certainly in Orange County, it'll go the other way. So all of that's going on, but the internet does facilitate it. A lot of Adamic and Natalie Glantz, two researchers who were at Xerox PARC, a lot is now at the University of Michigan, but she's been visiting with us at the iSchool this year, and does one of the early researchers doing statistical and mathematical analysis of networks, communication networks, blog links, tweeting, a fascinating paper on tweeting a while ago, looking at political discourse with heavy-duty statistical techniques. So she looked, this was in the 2004 election, she looked at a number of conservative blogs and liberal blogs, and had various ways of identifying those automatically from links, and looked at the links between them. Given a certain blog, what is it linked to? And if it was a link between a conservative and another conservative blog, she created a visualization in which that link would be represented in red. If a link was held between a liberal blog and another liberal blog, she put it in blue, and if it went between liberal and conservative blogs, she put it in yellow. This is the resulting visualization. I almost don't have to say anything about it. It's clear what's going on. These discourses are really polarized with very little communication between them. You get a similar effect when you look at web traffic, when people go to one blog and then to another. This is from another study. And showed the size of the blog indicates the amount of traffic and shows a similar effect. There's just much more traffic. People go from one liberal blog to another from a liberal blog to a conservative. Not surprising given the link structure. I mean, that's where the links are going. There's also a difference, if you look at these blogs, in what stories they cover. In Adamic's and Glantz's study, there was only, they looked at the top 5 stories among all the liberal blogs and the conservative blogs. There was only, in the 2-month period before the 2004 election, there was only one story that figured on those top 5 lists for the two groups. So it's not only that they're taking different attitudes about the issues, they're talking about different attitudes. They're talking about different issues. If it's a scandal in Washington, like this thing with the Secret Service and the prostitutes and whatever in the Republic, so that's going to be talked about in the conservative blogs, not the liberal blogs. And similarly, if Romney makes a gaffe, that will be talked about on the liberal blogs, not the conservative blogs. So there are really two different conversations going on here with relatively little traffic between them, at least to look at that. This is a similar study that basically makes the same point. Basically makes the same point. There's also polarization in other ways. There's polarization by gender. You know about the gender gap. Women tend, in over the last 40 years, I think, to vote much more for Democrats than men do. It rose to, I think, 14% in 1996. The second Clinton election was the biggest difference. It was down very small, 2 or 3% in Bush 2004, and was bigger again for Obama. This is a substantial effect. In the polls now, they're showing lots more women for Obama, in the Obama-Romney choice than men. And if you look at readership of these blogs, I put in blue the liberal blogs, and in red the conservative blogs. And the percentage of male readership, I mean, it's 80% at Hugh Hewitt, the blog I mentioned earlier, and only 32% at the Crooks and Liars blog, which is a liberal blog. So there's a dramatic difference in participation. it also happens that if you look at the most successful blogs, never mind this democratic discourse, most of the most successful bloggers, the ones with big followings, and I'm not thinking so, or within a site like Huffington Post, the bloggers, if you call them that, the contributors at that site who have the big followings, are successful journalists. They're people who were active in the old media, and important in the old media, and have now just moved to the new media. The idea that things are bubbling up from the bottom is a little misleading in that regard. So, what's the moral here? The internet potentially amplifies and enhances all forms. Any form of social organization is going to change and be amplified on the internet. But it doesn't eliminate these basic conflicts and oppositions. Not with regard to political differences, and not with regard to the social differences that Dana Boyd's talking about. Those are still present, and they're not. The internet doesn't overcome these. It's an extension of social life. I think next time I'll start. I want to talk a little bit about who participates in political discourse and about pornography, and just a little teaser to get you to come. And we will not. We will be high-minded about it, of course. And we'll see you then.